Starbucks is brewing up an apology after fans of the coffee chain expressed disappointment about not being able to buy one of the viral.
People are going bonkers for these adorable teddy bear glass cups at Starbucks. Debuted yesterday and immediately sold out. But most customers are
I just want to say, hey, welcome back everybody to Mila's Best Life Lately, where I'm trying to learn and teach you how to live your best life on and offline. This is also my podcast, The Desktop Vanity, which is relaunching. I hope we're doing absolutely fun. Before we get into today's video essay and thesis, I would love to give a little update on my life. Number one, I'm getting a haircut today, which means that I'm going to try and get this all wrapped up within under an hour and then hopefully get it to you by next week. It is finals and I'm a little bit more caught up on all my big projects. I'm a senior in university, undergrad, and my plan is to go to grad school. But first, I want to go to beauty school because what even does it mean to want to be an actress, TV writer, beauty journalist extraordinaire if I don't have an esthetician license? Like, come on, girl, get it together. Especially if I want to have a skincare line someday, your girl gotta have credentials. Which should actually be another topic because I love also talking not just about the beauty industry, but also celebrity, juicy stuff, and the book industries. Precursor, this topic is about an essay I wrote on my Substack. I worked 4 weeks on it. It is a research narrative based essay with a lot of allegedlys, which means that it is juicy as like legit. It is juicy. It is juicy because a lot of it is theoretical and nature. So is a lot of communication oriented studies. So I want to be wary since I am tackling a big corporation at the same time. Like they're gonna do anything about it. Like a little girl's YouTube channel. I'm just a little girl, which has some undertones that I feel like are not the best. But I digress. Let's go ahead and dive deep in today's episode of The Desktop Vanity. And if you want to hear more about this topic, this is only scratching the surface. But if you want to go beyond the tip of the iceberg, check out the very much so free for now article on The Desktop Vanity. I am getting a phone call. It's from a scammer. Should I answer it? The answer is no. JK. Excusez-moi.
Hi, my name is Ella with the Voice Search Now, and the business is eligible to display on Siri and Alexa. Is this the owner of the business, by any chance?
No, I'm sorry. I don't own a business. My apologies.
Well, the number that we are calling, ma'am, is showing our records as being associated with a business.
Uh, I
It,
I just want to let you know that that was a clerical error and it is being taken down. Please don't call me again about it. I'm trying to fix it. It's not, I don't need to worry about this at the moment. Thank you again. Please, I beg of you, stop calling me. And that's what happens when you decide to be polite and also set a boundary that when it comes to scams never works. When push comes to shove, we see how sample sales and limited edition drops actually affect our senses and cloud our judgment. This is the power of scarcity marketing, the power of having a loyal consumer, and the power that corporations have over us, especially the way that they potentially, allegedly weaponize their loyal, unconscious consumers against the minimum wage workers that help feed their bottom line while they themselves cannot feed their families nor. Gentle reader, whether you're here from the Substack or for an extra video essay, I present to you our thesis on how American corporations survive and thrive during boycotts through dark marketing tactics, trinket mania, and so much more. Through the power of social media, corporate communications, and today's consumer culture, we are able to discuss how Starbucks can still thrive and survive while they are being boycotted and their workers are beginning to be on strike. After about 4 weeks worth of research to write this essay, I have found some imperative truths to me that otherwise look like that they just fell into my lap, but they really didn't. Here's our syllabus for today. Number one, a little story time about Starbucks and consumer culture. and me. Number 2, successful strikes during the 21st century, because I am a positive Nancy. And then number 3, my explanation and deep dive into the boycott promotion theory coined by moi, and how they use dark marketing tactics, and by they, I mean corporations, use dark marketing tactics, trinket mania, and other things to not just weaponize their loyal consumers and survive during a boycott, but also potentially punish their minimum wage workers. I was in my university's coffee shop, specifically the Starbucks at my university, as I was finishing this Substack research essay. It's a narrative research essay. And when I bothered to look, I realized that the long line at the Starbucks was lengthening as I was writing. And it made me wonder, could I go up to these people and decide to exceed my budget on my annual crash outs and cinematically ask, what came first for you? The bear cup in your feed or the boycotts? Or do you know about the strikes? But I am a classy lady and I didn't want to get kicked off of campus. So I did indeed disregard that divine urge. On top of that, when I was discussing this with my mother, she said, Mila, I only learned about the strikes and boycotts because you told me. All over my feed, it was just bear cup, bear cup, bear cup, bear cup. Maybe you should skip out on your gingerbread chai today and other days. And I thought about it. And I was like, Mom, do I really gotta? And then I was like, wait, I have to, for sure, for the cerebral future, for the cerebral future. And here I just proved my theory, the boycott promotion theory, that I myself am performing my own brand of consumerism by stating what I just previously stated about something so specific and unnecessary, like the drink I like to order during the holidays. I personally believe, now this is a lot of research as someone who comes from a marketing background, that we as consumers, specifically young consumers, are no longer buying aspirationally. We are buying to shape and build our identity. Therefore, it's so important for corporations to have a mission, a program, and basically a personality, because we are now buying products that match our identity or help build our identity, our way of life, our concepts of living, our own paradigm. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But basically, we want to now shop not aspirationally, but for identity. So we are developing and performing our own brand of consumerism, building our identity on what we buy and also what we refuse to buy. You know, just like when you go on that Tinder date with that guy that's like, oh, I don't believe in soap. And I'm like, oh, I don't believe in splitting the bill, and then you walk away. I have simply breathed my theory by being an unconscious, almost a little bit more conscious consumer than I was previously. I was inherently, as a consumer, unpaid, promoting a holiday promotion that Starbucks has despite these boycotts and strikes. When it comes to Starbucks and how they have the power to take advantage of our perception of them, it actually plays a pivotal role in the intersectional approach to capitalism I like to talk about, which is also great because I have a lot of experience in the beauty industry, in beauty sales, and in marketing. I have 6 years of marketing internships under my belt, and your girl can still not get a job. Like, it's not even funny. But I am very qualified to talk about the dark marketing tactics for product-based industries. So yeah, let's get into the shiza of it all. America, a heavily capitalistic destination with totalitarian tendencies, relies on workers' unions in order to not go a little closer to totalitarianism, but to move a little closer to a socialistic capitalistic society, which might be deemed a little impossible. However, in 2025, 36% of Americans have or are participating in boycotts, indicating that obviously we do care, but is it enough to make a change? According to the 4 notorious examples of 21st century, aka 2018 to 2023, of successful strikes in the US, some of the most notorious ones are the 2023 Writers Guild of America, WAG, SAG-AFTRA, as writers and actors launched a parallel high-profile strike against major studios to demand a better compensation model for streaming services and protection against the use of AI. Which, small tangent, we're already starting to see happen with this dumb, salacious, soulless bitch Tilly Norwood. Welcome back, my sweet loves. This is Mila from the future, aka Editing Mila. I do want to let you know that Tilly Norwood is not a real person. She is AI. I am definitely feel validated to say that thing about her. Now, if she was a real woman, I would never dream to call her that, but she's a robot. So, yeah, just to let you know. A entirely AI generated actress created by a Dutch producer, Elaine van der Velden's company, Particle 6, and already started getting backlash back in September 2025, even before it was being launched. People are wondering why these strikes could be happening, and specifically when it comes to Writers and Actors Guild strike, it is because of streaming services, because they lack the same benefits and protections as they do working for movie studios or TV. Now, you have to wonder, why is this the case? I want you to keep in mind that streaming services, first and foremost, are tech startups. They're companies. They're not in the business of making art that sells. They're in the business of keeping people subscribed. So yeah, that's why we see weird little tangents about people being like, oh, what happened to cinematography? Why does everything look like it's studio lighting? Well, that's not always the case. However, we noticed that, yeah, for a lot of people in writing and acting, especially as writers, they rely on the gig economy because streaming services no longer have jobs, or they never did. Streaming services never had writing rooms, never had jobs like that. It was always freelance oriented. Why? Because they're not a movie studio nor a TV studio. They are a tech startup, which means that for a long time, since streaming services are dominating everything in entertainment, writers no longer have like a proper 9-to-5 job. They can't rely on that shiza anymore. They have to do freelance work, which is not always beneficial, especially if they have a family. Overall, the strike was successful, basically being able to achieve substantial concessions and new contracts, addressing the key issues and securing increased residual payments and minimum staffing in writers' rooms. This is also important to note that streaming services are in no way, shape, or form a movie studio. They're not Rockefeller, they're not Nickelodeon, they are a tech startup. I don't want to get into all of the strikes that were successful in this century right here. That's on my Substack. But the other ones that I have listed, my favorite one is the Red Ed Teachers Strike in 2018, where teachers all across Arizona, West Virginia, etc., across many states actually went on strike with major support from family, friends, and other places all across the country, basically fighting for not just better pay, but also better, school district funding, everything, to the point where it actually affected the legislation at that level, meaning that they actually changed the law. Let's go ahead and get into Starbucks. In the end, knowing that the morning nor outfit is not complete without your morning coffee. You don't buy things aspirationally anymore, just to reiterate. So simply by existing and buying these things, talking about them, basically, we embody our own brand of consumerism. It shapes our identity. We perform consumerism. Basically, the morning nor the outfit is complete without your morning coffee. Through scarcity and the concept of collection culture, big businesses will use limited edition drops, sales, and reward systems to reward their loyal customers that do not care about the controversy that they are in, basically rewarding their unconscious consumers, which can sometimes be categorized as dun 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 Karens. Through the dark side of generous marketing, otherwise undetectable, is a conscious decision made by corporate America to reward unconscious consumers, creating a customer culture like the customer's always right, which could eventually punish minimum wage workers at the bottom of their man-made food chain. Let's get into the boycott promotion theory. And hey, theory, it's a theory. It's a theory, and we're using a lot of allegedlys, which means it's juicy as frick. To be serious, when a corporation is big enough and powerful enough to mitigate controversy, They will withstand cancellation by rewarding their unconscious consumers with extra perks, rewards, collectible things, superfans, some stuff that superfans will just eat up in general. However, this only works once a corporation is powerful enough to mitigate the cancellation on their own. A mom and pop shop probably can't do that. This promotes a form of brand loyalty through a targeted pull of othering and liking. In marketing and communication spaces and other theories, we see this very, very apparent, crucially. In critical communication theory and marketing, liking and othering are two things with a very similar conclusion. What is it? In communications, othering is a discursive process involving language, media, and cultural representation used to portray a person or group as fundamentally different from or often inferior to the dominant social group, through language narrative, which can be constructed through marketing, which does shape our identities around in and out groups and other groups, but also instills a rationalized exclusion with narratives that reinforce negative power dynamics. To ScienceDirect.com, Othering and Belonging Institute, and Learning.org, and ResearchGate, we see this very crucially all the time in something like marketing, which also, just like art, marketing is political. Everything is political. Anything up to interpretation has the ability to be rationalized, glamorized, and overall commodified, basically also being radicalized and polarizing at the same time. No matter what your intention is, anything has the capacity to be polarizing. Within marketing, we see those type of themes through exclusionary tactics that might be unconscious or deliberate. Think about when you subtly dismiss a consumer that buys a different brand of your product that might be cheaper than yours. Maybe it's all the other subtle ways that Starbucks utilizes this in their positioning. Maybe it's the inaccurate portray or superficial stereotypes. Maybe it's rewarding the brand loyalty and unconscious consumers with the gamification of reward systems through explicitly positioning competitors or other consumer groups as not like them. Starbucks positioned themselves on college campuses, in work-based area, metropolis-based area, on every single corner. We see a continuous pattern that I at least acknowledge. For example, anytime there's a Starbucks, that Starbucks will be adjacent to a TJ Maxx, which will then be adjacent to a Barnes & Noble's, which is then adjacent to a Sephora, which is then adjacent to an Ulta Beauty. I have been victimized by this configuration many times, but what does that have to do with intellectual, work-based spaces, corporate America, and also consumerist-based marketplaces? In general, I theorize that basically Starbucks is for the elite in general. Starbucks, that sweet little treat you get every day, is not aspirational in any way at all. It's for the people that can shop till they drop as a hobby with a drink in their hand, or it's for the people who have really fancy corporate jobs that get a Starbucks on the way, or people in intellectual based areas. However, Starbucks also positions themselves as being moderately aspirational when we see many people that go there for the free Wi-Fi and sometimes the inexpensive drinks to work on their script, their next play, their essay, their articles, their book, even business meetings. Basically, Starbucks is positioning themselves with the already affluent enough to shop till they drop, and also the aspirational and ambitious. We do not commonly see that with Dunkin' Donuts or Coffee Bean. Basically, compared to the West Coast, this is what I see, and this is Starbucks' way of doing liking and othering, separating from social class. This has to do with the circulating paradigm that is in a product of America's unique relationship to politics, culture, and capitalism. Before we continue, important just to save my butt, just in case Roy Cohen comes back from the grave. I know that's a really dark joke. If you get it, let me know. If it's dark, I know. But I'm sorry about that. But inherently, I want to let you know that I'm not anti-capitalistic, but I'm also not anti-socialist, and I'm really just anti-giant corporations that are mean and terrible and grossy and yucky. Basically, that's why I inherently like to interpret this capitalistic tendencies in the US through an intersectional approach where we can now talk about power and oppression in relation to work and business life. If we want to be super intelligent and academic, let's talk about Adam Smith's original ye olde theory of the invisible hand, which states two things. Number one, basically anyone's selfish desires and selfish gains actually collectively help the community through competition. Basically, if you want to make money, you make a good product at a good price, it helps everybody. It basically also iterates that everyone has an equal opportunity to make bank. Now, what does this have to do with this paradigm that I am illustrating for you? Another variation of this is simply that the market is able to correct itself and being subjected to self-regulation and mechanisms that control with competition itself. In my process, I see capitalism in this concept is not mindful nor selective, but up for interpretation and control, meant to be a body, a separate entity that's binary but expanding horizontally as new markets emerge and supposedly new problems get created so new products can treat those problems to then inherently sell them. And when society embodies figures like this, it has to do it through globalization. Because if the market expands, that means the ideas have to expand and other things have to lose their original meaning to become commodified. This behavior, in my opinion, creates a capitalistic economy that expands with a very thin veil of consumer behavior that can damage others in the workforce. This execution of power can be done through spending how we choose to spend money, but also how we choose to not spend our money. Think about how that annual ruckus with the government shutdown, how SNAP benefits are put at risk just as a political pond, or how enough people canceled their Disney Plus subscriptions and got Jimmy Kimmel back on the air. This is an example of what boycotts can do and why Starbucks potentially, allegedly, was afraid of that and why they launched the Bear Cups now. According to the Starbucks union's website, their strike was supposed to start on November 13th, 2025, when they hope to fight for better benefits and wages, also showing how Starbucks is trying to de-unionize and collapse those workers' rights for their own gain. According to Forbes, the strikes are actually working, which is exciting. This helps exude the power of the minimum wage workforce when they are collectively united as a whole. But how does this overlap with the Bear Cups? What if I told you that Starbucks was being boycotted all the way from September and November of 2025? It was building up to this point. They were waiting allegedly to pull the trigger with the Bear Cups. Exactly 7 days before the strikes, the Bear Cup launch. A collectible limited edition item built with such scarcity that all stores in my area only had probably like 3 or 4. Now, with a giant corporation like Starbucks, we have to wonder, when does that oversight happen? Why is it so hard to get a Bear Cup? Why are they making it where most of their consumers can't get a Bear Cup? Could it be to weaponize their unconscious consumers during the holiday rush, during when everyone is stressed, tired, does not want to be with their families, and they're taking it out on the minimum wage workers? Could it be a way of punishing those who weren't able to get onto the strikes? This is all allegedly, after all, but this is my theory of the boycott promotion theory, that in order to cover up boycotts and controversies and strikes, they would use these reward systems that will inherently vibe and basically consume and feed this consumer culture that doesn't just promote unconscious, disgruntled consumers that are impatient and expect things fast, but also will punish the minimum wage workers in the process. Now, the Bear Cup has been around for a while all across the world, but the iced Bear Cup, the clear glassy one, I don't even know if it's glass, I should know that. Basically, the issue is that it's the first time launching in the US. They were holding on to this. They were holding on to a hero, Starbucks. They were holding on to this when they really needed it so they can pull the trigger. And it wasn't meant to make sales, in my opinion. I theoretically think it was meant to distract us in the feed with astroturfing, which is a dark marketing tactic that in some cases is illegal, where you plant false narratives in the media so other people can create content about it to help them go viral, even though they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it replaces boycott with bear cup in your social media feeds. This is, after all speculation. But I personally believe wholeheartedly that this is a tactic that corporate America does to thrive and survive during controversies and boycotts. If you want to dive a little deeper into the dark marketing tactics, Karen culture, consumer culture, and the rest of my speculations and corresponding theories to the boycott promotion theory, so you can quote it and use it yourself when you shop and buy, then check out my Substack article, When Push Comes to Shove, How Big Corporations Distract Us with Sample Sales and Bear Cups. Get it? When push comes to shove? It is available for free currently on my Substack. All of my articles are available for free on my Substack for the first month from when they are published. Then they go under the paywall, and then you gotta be a subscriber. So if you want me to be able to afford Coffee Bean and not Starbucks, feel free to subscribe. There's tons of other really fancy perks, like once a month we'll have a Zoom lecture and Q&A where you can vote on a topic based off of my either fluffy beauty pieces or my video essay pieces or my academic narrative research essay pieces, and I will come up with a presentation and we can do a lecture on it on Zoom for those paid subs, along with a lot of other really secret perks that are kind of spooky because they're so juicy. Being a soft intellectual is the ultimate power move after all, and it's not just about working with me and being in Mila's best life lately, but I also talk about storytelling, success, and of course beauty and pop culture, power, and politics. And if you love feminine-centered media studies and other girl type shit, you should not just follow the channel, but also follow the Substack, The Desktop Vanity, because it desperately needs a little love, just like this page. Either way, I hope you have a lovely day. Slay, be beautiful, be bright, be intellectual, be soft, be divine. You already are. And I hope you have a fabulous day. Don't forget, support the channel, hit the plus and the notification bell so you can get more fancy smanchy video essays like these. I hope you all have a fabulous day. And do let me know down below if this changed your mind at all about Starbucks or if you just learned anything new. I have to get ready for work now. Have a great day, you guys. Bye!